Gerry Adams. You have 10 minutes.
Across this state and around the world, candlelit vigils and marches have taken place to mark the tragic death of Savita Halappanavar. These occasions have witnessed a very genuine and deeply felt outpouring of sadness at the death of this young woman and her baby. I want to extend to Savita's husband, Féin, and to her family my sincere condolences. As Captain MacDonald has said, her death is a reminder of the failure of successive Irish governments and of this Oireachtas to legislate and to resolve this issue. Agus tá sé le tuiscin go bhfuil farach mór agus burabh mór faoi seo. Sinn Féin believes that there should be a full independent investigation into Savita's death. The manner in which the HSE investigation was established and the initial inclusion of 3 members from Galway University Hospital, and I cast no aspersions on them, without the support of Savita's family, was poorly judged. The fact that this decision has been reversed is welcome. However, it has raised a serious concern about the judgment of the government, and it's crucial that every effort is made to reassure Savita's husband Féin and both their families and to secure their cooperation. They need to be consulted and not merely notified after decisions have been taken, and this needs to be done quickly. There is a public debate taking place, and this will continue until legislation is introduced. The expert group report should be released now so that public debate can be fully informed. And Sinn Féin have brought forward this motion as our contribution to this essential debate. In my view, bad government is often the consequence of a bad opposition, and the people of this state are living with the social and economic consequences of that and of our recent history. So Sinn Féin is determined, despite all our flaws, to be a real opposition, a constructive opposition, supporting the government when appropriate, or providing positive alternative positions when needed to those coming from the government, and putting forward policies that we believe in. In this context, we carefully considered the implications of tonight's motion, and we crafted it very carefully to attract the widest possible consensus. And I reject absolutely the crass party political accusations that our motion is opportunistic. It is none of the sort. I found the Fianna Fáil leadership's criticism particularly offensive, given that Fianna Fáil was in government for most of the last 20 years, and that Captain Martin was Minister for Health during 4 of these, and did nothing. So instead of seeking to score points on such a serious issue, I would urge all deputies to step back, and the majority of them have been measured and balanced in their response, to set aside party politics, to reflect carefully on what has occurred, to examine the motion and to support it as a genuine attempt to advance the introduction of legislation. In shaping this motion, Sinn Féin's focus was twofold. First, to provide legislative protection for women whose lives are at risk during pregnancy, and secondly, to ensure that clinicians have clear legal guidelines within which they can carry out their work. Agus tá sogan go bhfuil an mallart de thuirmí leidir agus de riara ar fud seochaí na hÉireann faoi deireadh a chur de torchas ar bhain leachta. Sinn Féin is not in favour of abortion. I personally am not in favour of abortion. That's my strongly held view. But I am not mandated to come here to legislate for me. The people spoke. They spoke in referendum and firmly placed the responsibility upon the Oireachtas to deal with the issue by means of legislation. In his remarks to the Dáil in April, the Minister for Health acknowledged that no action had been taken by 6 successive governments and that he didn't want to be the 7th. But the government needs to move beyond the rhetoric on this. Sinn Féin has made our position absolutely clear, and we debated this issue no more recently than at our last Ardèche. We believe that all possible means of education and support services should be put in place So the difficult choice to terminate a pregnancy can be avoided by as many women as possible. And we're against any attempt to criminalise or to be judgmental of women who have had abortions. No woman wants to be in that position. I'm very conscious by accident of birth that I'm a man, but this could be could have been my mother, could be my wife, my sister, my aunt, any of my woman friends. Sinn Féin believes that in the case of rape, incest or sexual abuse, or where a woman's life and mental health is at risk or in grave danger, the final decision rests with the woman. It's time for legislation to be enacted that will protect the rights of women as decided by the Supreme Court in 1992, and I stand ready and our party stands ready as legislators to do this. That means facing up to the reality, highlighted by pregnant women confronted with life-threatening illnesses who have to cope with this awful dilemma. Mar reachtar caithfí Misha agus caithfí Magina, Dáil leis an fearach go bhfuil an profesiún leis Mishana sláinte a dhéanamh gan cosant líthil de doctorí. We have to ask ourselves as elected representatives and legislators if we really want to leave Irish women or the medical profession in the awful predicament caused by the current absence of legislation. I don't, and Sinn Féin doesn't. The context for this debate is Safita's death, but the background is the Axe case. In 2010, the European Court of Human Rights ruled that this state violates the rights of pregnant women, pregnant citizens, by refusing to allow them to receive a lawful termination when a pregnancy could threaten their lives. The decision by the European Court of Human Rights has made it clear that there is an onus on the state now to legislate under the terms of the 1937 Constitution and the decision in the Axe case. The Government has to respond to the Council of Europe on this issue by the end of the month. So we call on the Government to produce its proposed response and to consult on it. And this should be done in a reasoned, tolerant, considered manner and with maximum cross-party consensus. Tá sé tabatak go rakim wedge in yek leis an case seo sa context sosialta. There is a concern that the Government will long finger this issue, and this must not be allowed to happen, because there is a very firm onus and responsibility on members of this Oireachtas to ensure that this generation of Irish women will not face the prospect of doing what many have had to do in recent days, take to the streets. I would urge Teachta Dáil to carefully consider the response to this motion and to vote for it. Gora Margaret.
Thank you, Deputy. I now call upon Deputy Desi Ellis, and you have 10